Hello, and welcome to East Lynne Theater's 31st anniversary of Tales of the Victorians. I'm James Rana. Usually our tales take place on Thursdays during the summer at a lovely Cape May venue. Tea is served, as well as some very nice cookies, and people can sit back and enjoy wonderful stories by great American authors, read by East Lynne Theater Company actors and friends. I'm thrilled to be presenting the first in our Tales of the Victorians, with a story by Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. The name alone conjures up mysteries, murder, madmen, and mayhem. He is considered the creator of the modern detective story. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle credits him with influencing his Sherlock Holmes creation. His work, in print since 1827, includes poems, stories, a novel, essays, and book reviews. His idol was Lord Byron, and by the age of 13, Poe had written enough poetry to publish a book. I will now read for you Poe's last story, a story that deals with a theme that I think we've all become very good at: isolation. From 1849, The Lighthouse. January 1st, 1796. This day, I first on the lighthouse. I make this entry in my diary as agreed on with de Grasse. As regularly as I can keep the journal, I will. But there is no telling what may happen to a man all alone as I am. I may get sick, or worse. So far, well. The cutter had a narrow escape, but why dwell on that, since I am here all safe? My spirits are beginning to revive already, at the mere thought of being, for once in my life at least, thoroughly alone. For of course Neptune, large as he is not to be taken into consideration as society. Would to heaven I had ever found in society one half as much faith as in this poor dog. In such case, I and society might never have parted, even for a year. What most surprises me is the difficulty de Grasse had in getting me the appointment. And I, a noble of the realm. It could not be that the consistory had any doubt of my ability to manage the light. One man had attended it before now, and got on quite as well as the three that are usually put in. The duty is a mere nothing, and the printed instructions are as plain as possible. It never would have done to let Orndorff accompany me. I never should have made any way with my book as long as he is within reach of me, with his intolerable gossip, not to mention that everlasting meerschaum. Besides, I wish to be alone. It is strange that I never observed until this moment how dreary a sound that word has. Alone. I could have fancied there was some peculiarity in the echo of these cylindrical walls, but oh no. This is all nonsense. I do believe I'm going to get nervous about my insulation. That will never do. I have not forgotten de Grasse's prophecy. Now for a scramble to the lantern and a good look around to see what I can see. To see what I can see indeed. Not very much. The swell is subsiding a little, I think, but the cutter will have a rough passage home nevertheless. She will hardly get within sight of the Norland before noon tomorrow, and yet it can hardly be more than 190 or 200 miles. January 2nd. I have passed this day in a species of ecstasy that I find impossible to describe. My passion for solitude could scarcely have been more thoroughly gratified. I do not say satisfied, for I believe I should never be satiated with such delights as I have experienced today. The wind lulled about daybreak, and by the afternoon the sea had gone down materially. Nothing to be seen, with the telescope even, but ocean and sky with an occasional gull. January 3rd. A dead calm all day. Towards evening, the sea looked very much like glass. A few seaweeds came in sight, but besides them, absolutely nothing all day. Not even the slightest speck of cloud. I occupied myself in exploring the lighthouse. It is a very lofty one, as I find at my cost when I have to ascend its interminable stairs. Not quite 160 feet, I should say, from the low water mark to the top of the lantern. From the bottom inside the shaft, however, the distance to the summit is 180 feet at least. Thus the floor is 20 feet below the surface of the sea, even at low tide. It seems to me that the hollow interior at the bottom should have been filled in with solid masonry. Undoubtedly, the whole would have been thus rendered more safe. But what am I thinking about? A structure safe as this, enough under any circumstances. I should feel myself secure in it during the fiercest hurricane that ever raged. And yet I have heard seamen say occasionally, with a wind at southwest, the sea has been known to run higher here than anywhere with the single exception of the western opening of the Straits of Magellan. No more sea, though, could accomplish anything with this solid iron riveted wall, which at 50 feet from high water mark is 4 feet thick, if 1 inch. The basis on which the structure rests seems to me to be chalk. January 4th. As there is sufficient space for additional text at the bottom of the final page, it is reasonable to presume that the rest of the tale is merely unfinished rather than lost. The title The Lighthouse was assigned by George E. Woodbury, who first published the text of pages 2 through 4 in the life of Edgar Allan Poe in 1909. I'm James Rana. Thank you for joining us for Tales of the Victorians.